Hello and welcome to this special show on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Vishal Dahiya, and as you've always seen in this particular show, we bring you all aspects of digital intervention with respect to COVID-19 and what the future holds for us as well. So today we will talk about governance and digital technology. Now, it's not new that digital technology has been used in the governance aspect. There have been, use of digital technology earlier as well, but this particular crisis, that is COVID-19 pandemic, has made us learn a lot of lessons. And today we will try and understand what is it that we have learned in terms of utilization of technology and how that can be further scaled up when we talk about governance, even the post-pandemic period as well. And we have a distinguished panel of guests with us. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. Abhishek Singh. He is the CEO of MyGov portal and also the head of National E-Governance Division, that is NEGD. We're also joined by Dr. Yogesh Suri. He's from Niti Aayog. He's the senior advisor governance and research out there. And we have a digital technology expert amongst us as well, Mr. Dubey. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha Television. And as it's a lockdown period, we are also making use of the digital technology, and all of us are joined together via the Skype platform. Let me begin with Mr. Singh here. Mr. Singh, let's try and understand what exactly do we mean when we talk about the amalgamation between governance and digital technology. And all of us know e-governance is a term which we have heard a number of times, but how big is the utilization so far?
As you rightly said, e-governance is a term which we are quite used to, and it's nothing new now. We have been on this e-governance journey, the journey of digital India, for the last 15 to 20 years. And today, there are a lot of services. If you ask the younger generations, they would assume that going to a bank is not required. Whether you want to access banking services, whether you want to access railway services, all these things are digital. And then if you go to other services like accessing passports or filing income tax returns, so a lot of progress has been made by Government of India in enabling services to the last mile. And while doing so, it requires automating processes, it requires connecting offices, it requires building infrastructure for data centers, for networks, as well as providing access to service delivery access points in the form of the 3 lakh plus common service centers that we have. And when we are used to this kind of technology, and especially when we face a crisis like the one that we are facing right now, people expect information, the right information at the right time from across the country. And as we say that the cliche saying is that we all are living in the information age. And today people can find out from Google, from Wikipedia, from WhatsApp, from social media platforms with regard to anything that's happening, whether in China, Wuhan, or Italy, or US. So naturally, there is an urge for getting to know what is happening with regard to COVID-19 in India, what's happening in Kerala, what's happening in Rajasthan, what's happening in Maharashtra. So what technology does in such a crisis is that it enables getting the right information from all the testing labs that we have, the right data from ICMR, and disseminating the right information to everyone by using all the channels which people are using. So the concept of e-governance here becomes bringing the government closer to the citizens, getting feedback from the citizens with regard to what citizens want, and delivering them on a platform which people would love to engage with. And this, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Singh, I would like to come in here, and that's one very interesting and important aspect here is that in this particular crisis, that is the COVID-19 pandemic, during the past 3-4 odd weeks in our own country itself, we've seen how cutting-edge innovations have come about, both indigenous aspect as well, and we have seen it happening in other nations also. So how can we scale up, or what exactly have we learned? Because this crisis has given us a lot to ponder about, not only otherwise, but during in the digital technology platform as well.
The biggest thing that this crisis has taught us is that two things that will help us tide over this crisis is innovation and collaboration. And the steps that we have taken in the last few weeks in India shows that to its fullest extent. Like, for example, if you take the example of the Arogya Setu app, which is one of the most innovative apps developed for contact tracing world over. It has reached around, say, more than 6 crore downloads in just 16 days. And this was an effort, not only of the government effort, but the collaboration between the best minds that we have in the Indian startup ecosystem, the best minds in government, and the best minds in technology space. So all these people came together, collaborated, and just in a few weeks, this world-class app was produced, and now it is live, and it is helping trace people with regard to who has come in contact or who is in a high-risk area, and this has the potential of saving thousands of lives. So this shows the kind of potential technology has in dealing with a crisis like the one that we are facing today.
Okay. Let me bring in Dr. Suri here. Dr. Suri, as Mr. Singh is pointing out, we've learned both the innovation aspect and the collaboration aspect, and these two are very crucial when you talk about governance.
Yeah, I totally agree with Mr. Abhishek. What he said is, and a few things I would like to add, just going beyond just, we don't need technology only for tracking and surveillance and just innovation. I think one of the very critical features of this entire crisis is how do we help the people? So there are three major aspects. The first is providing relief to the people who are really getting affected, people who are getting their jobs lost, people who are not able to earn their daily wages, and how to make their life comfortable, at least make them basic essential commodities to be reach them in in time. And second is then tracking and surveillance, as I think Aayog Setu application, as already Abhishek has told. And third is to ensure that things do not get impacted. At least the essential commodities, they move freely. If people want to go out, whether they can be able to get some access to e-passes online, that the way Delhi has done. So these are all totally different kinds of things which India has never done before. So and I can proudly say that I think this is something which is very unique to India, and this has helped us to avoid the crisis to a large extent. And so far, we are not that been seriously impacted. In fact, from Niti Aayog also, there is Empowered Group 6 chaired by CEO Niti Aayog, where we are almost on a daily basis, we are interacting with NGOs, with industry, with multilateral institutions, and trying to collaborate with them. In fact, CEO himself has written 92,000 letters to different NGOs as to how we can collaborate with them and get their help in helping out to reach the people.
Okay, so it's collaboration and innovation are definitely two important aspects, as you're also pointing out. Let me bring Mr. Dubey here. Mr. Dubey, from a technical expert's point of view, as in somebody who's been in the industry, who's worked on all these sort of platforms, what is it that, according to you, it can add more value to the governance or to the e-governance part when we talk about this amalgamation of governance and technology?
So I think in today's context, we have many such solutions available that can help government to streamline these systems using technology. For example, when Aayog Setu was launched, this was one of the mandate, like how we can track and trace these people. Those are actually moving in a country like India, which is quite big. And we are supposed to track more than 15 lakhs people. Those have come up from 8th March to 22nd of March. Other than that, now we need lots of AI behind it, because this data would be sourced not only from mobile phones, but also from operators. So we can also analyze this data, and we can further use this to identify the areas where this spread could happen in future. And we have to also prepare our infrastructure for a situation where any such other pandemic would come in future, because this is not only one time, or this is not a temporary thing which is happening. We have to prepare our entire ecosystem in such a way. And there, I think technology will come into picture. Today, we are not sure whether it is happening only through humans, only through objects, only through places. So there are many such things which is happening. And maybe tomorrow we need to put IoT everywhere and track each and everything. And that is something which is yet to be explored. And I think that's where this new sort of technologies will help us to ensure the right tracking of all these things.
Okay. Dr. Suri, let me come back to you on one more aspect, and that's ensuring service delivery, because that's a really crucial and an important part of governance when we talk about. So, do you see technology playing a much larger role on this aspect as well? And this is becoming very important during this crisis period as well, ensuring service delivery to the citizens.
Yeah, of course, Mr. Dahiya, I think even Mr. Dubey has rightly said. Today, technology is the key and across almost every sector. Now, coming to social sector, like immediate, what government decided that they will give transfer about 500 rupees into the women bank account holders under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. And it was decided that for 3 months continuously we'll give this money. So we had this technological backup, entire database of the PMJDY beneficiaries, and the money could be transferred immediately to their bank accounts. Same thing applies to when you provide free ration to about 81 crore people beneficiary under National Food Security Act. You have an entire database in a digitized form all across the country, across all states we have. So we are able to provide the top up of about 5 kg per person per month for the next 3 months. Same thing applies for LPG, because you have again the digitized database. So all these places, and artificial intelligence, as Mr. Dubey has rightly said. So reaching all the benefits to people in crisis in a shortest possible time so that they don't get impacted. I think this is one of the key ways how we can address this crisis, and there technology comes as a key, plays a key role.
Okay, Mr. Singh, your views on that, ensuring service delivery and using or rather leveraging digital technology for that, as we are learning in this particular period, the crisis period?
I fully agree with what Dr. Suri has just said, and Dr. Mr. Dubey also mentioned, is that it has shown the power of the JAM Trinity that was set up, like the Aadhaar numbers, the mobile numbers penetration, or the Jan Dhan accounts. Like, it enables the government to reach to the last mile without spending too much of time. And so the crores of money was transferred instantly, and then the network of the common service centers and the network of the business correspondents allows people to withdraw the money in the places where they need and meet their basic needs. And added to that, the urban migrants issue which was there, which was thought that it would be unorganized sector and unorganized section of the society. And many people thought that India will not be able to manage the 21 days lockout period. And we showed to the world that it was very well managed with a great effort by officers of the field, various departments working together. The postal department came up to the, extended their outreach. The airlines, the railways, even though the operations were shut for passengers, but the amount of cargo which the airlines have moved, the amount of goods which the railways have moved, the amount of food grains which the Food Corporation of India has moved, has ensured that no corner of India is without food grains. People are fed properly. People have basic resources available to meet the essential commodities. The supply of milk has not been disrupted. The supply of basic medicines has not been disrupted. And India today has shown to the world that even though we are like 130 crore people, we are a much greater strength and resilience to face a crisis like this.
Okay. One more aspect here, Mr. Singh, is that, everybody would want to know at this stage that is there a sort of a mechanism as far as the government is concerned in terms of ensuring that all these innovations which we are witnessing right now, or all these collaborations which are happening, this is a crisis period, it's very understandable, but to leverage them further later on in the future, as we are talking about, to boost the capability or to ensure service delivery, is there a mechanism which is already set up there and we are working on that?
Yes, in fact, the Ministry of IT launched several innovation challenges, solution challenges, and we got a lot of inputs with regard to what all can be done. So whether it was the Aayog Setu app, and here I would like to correct that some words which were spoken by somebody, but it's not a tracking surveillance app, number one. So please don't use these words with regard to this. It's only an app to protect ourselves and to protect everyone. So this solution also came up with the kind of inputs which came up, and then there was a mechanism that was set up to ensure that it becomes sustainable. And now there has been ways to integrate it with the national telemedicine helpline, so that ultimately it will become a sustained way of offering health services at a larger to the larger segments of people. It is being integrated with the National Health Authority system, with the Ayushman Bharat project. So ultimately, whatever innovations are being done, it's not like for a short-term duration. Measures have already been taken by various empowered groups constituted in this regard to ensure that every initiative that is taken is sustained, and we learn from what has been done from the best practices across the country, and to ensure that they are replicated and the maximum benefit is obtained in order to be able to be better prepared for this crisis.
Okay, Dr. Suri, your views on that, on having a mechanism there, as Mr. Singh is pointing out, that yes, there is a mechanism, and all these innovations, all these aspects, new things which are coming up are being looked into, and these collaborations will not be only for the time being.
Yeah, of course, I totally agree with what Abhishek has said. In fact, these innovations are very much required to be used as a learning things for the future as well. In fact, specific reference I would also like to draw towards telemedicine, what he has said. In fact, Niti Aayog and ICMR have jointly come out with the guidelines In fact, in India, we need this telemedicine to a significant extent because a large number of people in rural areas, they do not have access to the doctors. So telemedicine through online, I think, the access and coupled with this Ayushman Bharat scheme, it has significant potential. And as Abhishek has rightly said, a lot of efforts are being made within the government to encapsulate and collate all this information, what is we are being doing now, and which will provide us the guidance for the future as well.
Okay, Mr. Dubey, let me bring you in on a very interesting technology aspect here. When we talk about technological interventions or innovations, one more aspect which we have seen is coming about is the use of blockchain technology. So, how bright is the future here of blockchain technology when we try and say that this particular aspect can be further assimilated with e-governance?
I think blockchain brings lots of trust in the system. It democratizes the system. So anything which is like any kind of decision that we are taking, for example, right now lots of e-passes are issued. Every day I think Delhi government are issuing more than 3,000 e-passes. Now there we need a democratic system. There is no biasing is in place. There's no manipulation is done. And I think these kind of things can be managed well and more transparent way using blockchain and such kind of technology. Then there are supply chain. And that supply chain itself requires lots of trust in the system. And that's where I think blockchain can be used. Similarly, the financial back-end system, and that's where the blockchain is in high demand. And already Niti Aayog has taken a strong directive on that, like we will recommend blockchain in most of these e-government solutions because of its obvious trustworthy nature. So I think this is already in practice and these kind of transitions are happening. But especially in these kind of crises, I think blockchain can play a very crucial role, and we should adapt it open-heartedly, and I think it will create wonders.
Okay, Mr. Singh, your views on that? Are we, do you agree that blockchain is something which brings trust with it, and also the fact that how far are we using it in our e-governance systems right now, and what can be the future?
Yeah, I agree with what Mr. Dubey said. In fact, especially for wherever we need to link up different databases and ensure that the trust of the data is not violated, and link up in order to ensure that a proper service is delivered, it can have a great potential. And especially with regard to the e-pass system that he mentioned, we are actually working on a concept wherein the e-pass system will be integrated with the Aayog Setu app to ensure that anybody who is at risk or who is COVID positive or needs to be having symptoms and needs to be quarantined and needs to be isolated should not be issued an e-pass, because otherwise if you have a separate system which is issuing curfew passes or movement passes or e-passes, and a separate system where we are trying to manage who is at risk through the symptom checker or through the Aayog Setu app, then the different systems, if they don't talk to each other at some level, it will create a problem. So we are trying to integrate these different systems by using blockchain technology, and hopefully something we will be seeing very soon on this front.
Okay, Dr. Suri, on the boosting capability aspect, you spoke about service delivery mechanism as well, but also one major important aspect of governance is boosting the capability of the government systems, the departments, various organizations. So that is also an area wherein digital technology can come in handy.
Yeah, absolutely true. In fact, I understand there are more than 350 training institutions within the central government itself. Then we have a whole network of institutions, IITs are there, IIMs are there, and a lot of other technology providers. And we are very actively collaborating with the private sector also, in fact. In fact, Niti Aayog also, we are working very closely with a lot of IT companies. So a lot of training programs are in the pipeline. Many of them are already being organized. I'm sure that the boosting capabilities of, I think, government officials as also other stakeholders will be the key for entire future technology adoption. I think a lot of work is being done and will continue in that direction.
Okay, let's take one quick concluding comment from each of you, and let's begin with Mr. Dubey. Mr. Dubey, how do you see the future as far as governance and digital technology is concerned? We've seen how we started with it all these years, but during this crisis period, it has given us a time to ponder, innovate, and understand how both can work hand in gloves with each other.
I think in future we will be relying more on technology now, because we have already seen that because if any such kind of pandemic happens, we can't trust on humans, and there are machines, robots, technology which will help us in that situation to move around and to get the things done for us. This is one thing that will happen for sure, and there are mindset change for sure, because the industries those were thinking earlier that we can't run online like education industries, it was struggling. There were smart classes, there were some slow steps, but they were not confident enough to take on these challenges full-heartedly. Now they all are running well. There are certification courses going on, there are classes to school kids, to the corporate. So I think they gained this confidence in this crisis, and they will not be dependent more openly on these kind of things. Similarly, any other industry, healthcare industry, they were thinking like telemedicine is a long-sighted thing, it will not happen in India, but now it is happening. Now people are relying on it. They are taking telephonic consultancies, video calls, and all these are happening. And the sensors are used because people can't travel, they can't move. Similarly, in any other industry, you would say like the IT industry for sure. Anyway, they were anyway using work from home and all these kind of tools. But this will now replicate in other industries as well. And I'm sure we will take some we will have some positive impacts on Earth, having some lesser carbon generated in future, because we will be more working from home and not using fuel and driving cars unnecessarily just for a meeting of half an hour with a person. We can always do it on a video call like we are talking right now. So I think this kind of mindset change will happen, and that will help us a lot in future.
Okay, so it's about changing the entire mindset as well. Mr. Singh, from your point of view, this crisis has also given us, as I was saying earlier, time to ponder, but also understand that we've learned the rapid adoption of technology as well. And that is something which might come in handy once this trouble blows away.
Yeah, I fully agree with what has been said, and in fact, this is a crisis, but it's also an opportunity. And the way I foresee is that in the coming years, the world will rely more on democratic countries like India for meeting their demands with regard to production of electronics products or cell phones or computers or something. So I see a lot of shift happening with regard to manufacturing to India, which will be good for our economy in the long run. And at the same time, some other concepts like the way children have adopted to online learning, the way teachers have adopted to teaching using online tools, the way people have adopted to working with using all these tools which are available for remote working. This is not going to be a short-term measure. This is going to continue in the future. The government is already working on coming on with a work-from-home policy. And I am sure in the days to come, when we face challenges like the pollution or of school closures because of smoke coming from Haryana or Punjab, those days we will be adopting these technologies, and it will help us to reduce to tackle challenges like climate change. It will reduce pollution. It will solve traffic problems. So there are a lot of benefits that we are going to learn from this crisis, and I'm fully confident that India will emerge stronger and more resilient after this.
Okay, Dr. Suri, your concluding comments?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Abhishek and Mr. Dubey has said. And I would like to supplement with saying that I think this crisis also made us learn that states cannot work in silos. I think if at all we had to fight any crisis, all of us have to work together in collaboration. And as Niti, we very proudly we say it's a collaborative and comparative federalism. So now today, like different database of different states, but now what is needed is there is a need for national database. Like if you want to move towards providing additional food grains to 81 crore people, we need to have a national database at one place instead of database sitting in silos in different states. Similarly, if you want to give some other benefits to people, you should have a national database, just like in case we have for LPG and all those things. And other than government, there's collaboration with non-state actors, whether it's industry or it's multilateral institutions or it's non-governmental organizations. I think the way all of them have come together in this crisis, then this is something which we need to carry forward with much greater vigor in future if we really want India to grow much faster. So this is, I think, one of the major lessons which we have learned from this crisis.
Okay, so there it is. Thank you so much, Dr. Suri, Mr. Abhishek Singh from MyGov and NEGD, and Mr. Amit Dubey as well. Thank you for sharing your views with us and our viewers as well. So that is it. Endless opportunities, as our panelists are pointing out, as far as the digital technology is concerned. And there are two key words to keep yourself reminding. that is innovation and collaboration. Now we are innovating, but collaboration is also required to ensure that all these digital technologies worked upon finally deliver results in terms of making governance easy, both for the people and also for those who have to administer it. We'll come back again tomorrow with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha television. Keep following the government guidelines as far as COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. Stay home, stay safe.